Alright guys, we're going to replace the Serpentine Belt today. Thought I'd give you guys a little bit more insight on how to do it in case anybody wants to do it. First rule, jack the car up and get some jack stands under it so it's good and safe. To do the Serpentine Belt on this vehicle, it is impossible to access from the top. Just because of this motor mount, first of all, primarily. However, you've got to pull the wheel. Once the wheel's taken out, the next step in the process, you've got T20 screws around the front edge of this inner well. This well has got to come out. So you got T20s around it. There's some 7mm bolts up underneath that need to come out as well so that it'll pull free. And then there's also panel clips like this one that you don't need a panel tool to pop out. You don't have to take the entire liner out. You can actually get away with just taking the front side out and then bringing it around and having it sit back here behind the actual rotor out of your way. All of your belt access is right behind here. Let me get this pulled out and I'll come back and show you a video of what you got to do next. Alright guys, next up, I got the inner fender well pulled back. Like I said, it was all these bolts. These inner bolts that I was talking about on the initial video, they're actually a T15. Pull this back, get those off. There's a couple 7mm again down here you've got to undo to get it to break free, and then it just folds back without any problem at all. Once you've got that off, you can actually see the belts. And this is a little bit iffy. I'm going to flip the camera around, bear with me. You can actually see up into it a little bit, see where the belts are. There is a pulley right here above the crank pulley. Here's your crank pulley. It's the one closest to the crank pulley. That is actually your tensioner right here. You're going to put a 15mm on it and use a wrench or ratchet to actually detension it, which will allow you to take the belt off. And I can't do that while I'm holding the phone, but I wanted to show you that. Make sure you make note of the routing of the belt before you pull it off. There is a diagram in the factory owner's manual in case you need it. All right, let me get this off and get the new belt on and we'll go from there. All right, everybody, the new belt's on. I'm going to go ahead and warn everybody ahead of time. The tensioner pulls back a little bit, but it's a very tight fit to get to it, first of all, up here. Right here. When you pull it back using a ratchet, what I did was pull it back, and I couldn't get it done by myself. It's just not, you don't have enough strength to pull the tensioner back at the same time as trying to get it over the crank, get the belt over the crank pulley. What I ended up doing was pulling it back, and I actually wire tied it off to this frame rail right here so that it was fully pulled and held in place while I worked the actual belt around the crank. The belt does not fit nicely. It ended up taking a pry bar to pry bar it and stretch it around the edge, and then a small hammer to actually tap it into place. Once it snapped into place, it was fine. Released the tensioner, and the belt is on and in perfect shape. The old belt didn't look horrible, but had 112,000 miles on it, so it was time to be replaced. Just so that we had some peace of mind with it. Once the belt's done, pretty much backwards from the start, put the inner fender well back in place, put all the bolts back in, put the tire back on, and then go sit on your couch and drink a beer, because you're done. Hope it helps somebody. Later.